Chris Level here with another edition of Pirate Talk. Pleased to be joined by Coach Michele Matticks, who is in charge of swimming and diving at Lubbock-Cooper. Also wanted to thank Texas Tech Federal Credit Union for sponsoring these podcasts. We certainly appreciate their input and their help with all of the podcasts all throughout the fall, and going to continue the spring as well. So check out the folks at Texas Tech Federal Credit Union for any of your financial needs. Good folks over there, and they support Lubbock-Cooper High School and all the athletic programs. So, Coach, you're kind of in one of these unique sports that's both semesters.
Yes, sir.
And so you there's a lot going on with you all the time, trying to keep, and we'll get into how many kids you've got and all the events and all that stuff. But how did you get into this?
Well, my family, in fact, my brother was the first swimmer when they introduced. It doesn't mean I'm old, people. They introduced swimming in the school system. Texas Tech had a swim team, and their head swim coach, Coach McNally, decided that he wanted to bring swimming into LISD. And I remember the meeting. I remember my dad thought the whole thing was a little sketchy, but they went. And my brother was one of the first ones on the start of LISD swimming. And then I played tennis, and then my brother said, why don't you come and swim? Because it's something you do in the summer. And so I joined the swim team in high school as a junior, and then Coach McNally just so happened to be the Texas Tech men's swim coach also.
Okay.
And so I guess I was decent enough that I got to move up to Tech and was one of the first women to get a scholarship for competitive swimming at Tech. Now, not a big scholarship, but
Every little bit helps.
those few years ago, it helped,
Yeah.
But and then I swam for Tech.
Just like 5 or 6 years
just
ago.
a couple,
Yeah, that's right.
And so that's then started the career on, and then finished college swimming, and then I went to University of Houston to do my master's program.
Jack Pardee.
Yes, I was there with him, but I was there with Bill Yeoman.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I was younger then.
Okay, yeah.
And
Just
at
like
the
5 or 6
end,
years
end
ago.
of the Phi Slamma Jamma, so those were all my. I'm not dating myself.
You just gave away our secret. Yeah, Phi Slamma Jamma.
And then I was fortunate to work in athletics as an academic counselor, and what they allowed me to do was work with the swim team. So I continued a little bit of college coaching, but not a whole lot, and then pursued other careers. And then I worked a long time in athletics at the University of Houston and at Tech, and then I decided to come back and teach. And with teaching, I had a swimming background, so then I got hired at Odessa High School as a instructor and as their swim coach. So I spent 5 years at Odessa High School with the coaching the high school, and then I started the middle school program, and then I started diving, and then I was tired and I came to Lubbock.
And you're completely re-energized
I'm
right
re-energized
now. And
now.
life has slowed down. You don't have anything going
And I
on.
lucked out because I was with a great crew at LISD, and then I spent 15 years there working as an assistant coach, what I called it, working with developing the program. Okay. And then Coach Hayes comes in and says, there's a rumor here that Cooper's starting a swim team. And the first question we all asked, well, where's the pool? And he goes, I don't know. And he goes, I don't know if they have a pool. He goes, but if any of you guys are interested in, and all I knew about Cooper, they had block scheduling. And LISD had gone to traditional, and I wanted back on block. So I applied and met Mr. Catwinkle, and I guess Max thought I was okay. And then here I am for 4 years.
Decent. I think he said, no, I think he thinks a lot of you. You've done a really good job. So this is fourth season.
Fourth season. And I remember the first day Max and I held tryouts.
Because it started.
It started.
You started this thing.
We started this, and they came in, and he would look over, and we watched the numbers that showed up for workouts, and we even had quite a few football because one guy was trying, and I think all their friends wanted to see what they would do. But he would look at me and go, really? And I go, I can do it. And by the time we finished workouts, we had 38 people on the team. And that's how you built that foundation, because those 38, yes, they dwindled down in attrition, reasons, but now they're my seniors. This will be my first graduating class for 4 years.
Okay, and you probably watched them grow and
develop better. And so forth. And someday we'll get, our goal is eventually have, like the other schools do, is have a middle school program. But we'll get into that as why, the schematics of that, because, we don't have our facility yet, but we're looking in trying to develop a middle school program as a feeder program, like all the sports do.
Yeah. So, take me through the sport from a high school standpoint, and it spills over into both semesters. When is the season?
And that's a good one because we are not one of the few sports that doesn't have a start and an end season.
That's why I wanted you to explain.
And
To
so we can actually, because now you can actually start August 1 with water polo. That is now a UIL sport. So water polo starts August 1, and then their championship is Halloween. I always call October 31st. But the swimming season can start because the high school, as soon as high school is back in session. And if you're like El Paso, you go year-round, then swimming is year-round. Now, the high school season, I think our first meet, if you can find someone, is usually October 1st. You get that couple months of practice in, and then you do have a limitation. You can only swim, 8 meets. And then our districts start with the third week in January. 2 weeks follow regionals, and in 2 weeks, by February the 17th-ish, or always around that, state has happened. And then officially, our season is over. But again, because we don't start and stop, we don't have to end like the normal school day like other sports do. Okay. And then with swimming, it's divided up into, most kids then will develop into what you call their club season. And club season will be something, what you call short course, we're 25 yards. That usually ends in middle of April, and then we start training for long course. And long course is your 50 meters, like you see the Olympics and all of that on the TV. And then what they'll do on that, they'll do the long course season, and that goes through the summer, and that ends right as school starts again, and short course season starts.
Then we start all over.
And we start all over. And the kids are divided in, are you high school, and then there's club swimming.
Okay.
And U.S. swimming.
Yeah. Because I do. I love watching. When the Olympics roll around, swimming's one of my favorite things, and everybody knows Michael Phelps, and
Yes.
the U.S. is so good and competitive at it on the boys and girls side, or men's and women's, and everything like that. How many athletes are currently in your program? I know you mentioned like when you first started, there's about 38, but like currently now, what are you talking about with your boys and girls programs?
Right now, we are sitting at 32.
32, okay.
32. 2 of them are divers, and that's another story. We'll get down the road on that one.
There we go.
2 of them are divers.
I don't know how to do a flip, just for the record. I just
Hey, when I judge and you don't hit the board, it's a great score.
Yeah.
And then 2 of them split time with me with golf, and then I have one that splits time with track with me.
Okay.
But 32 total.
Okay. And do you have, with 32 kids, do you have a varsity and a JV and a freshman, or is it all kind of blended together? Or you take me through how that works.
It's blended together.
Okay.
Swimming doesn't technically have a JV program.
Okay.
And when I was at LISD, what you did, you had X amount swim in the morning that met this time standard. And then you had the other half swim in the afternoon with this time standard. And your job in the afternoon was get them faster to move to the morning group. When we traveled, depending if you're going against a 4A team and you know you're going to dominate, you may take what we call it, the kid, you're not your as-fast kids,
Okay.
and you take them to make it more competitive. And we're kind of, at first we weren't at that level because we all were basically we were developing. And
Okay.
I called it maybe we're developing, if you had to call it, we were getting close to a JV program, but we
Okay.
weren't there yet. Now we can actually say we have varsity swimmers, and then we have swimmers that are developing.
Okay.
But Lubbock did divide up into it. They have what we called it. Coach Hayes and I sat there and go, what do we call the afternoon group? And we said, why don't we call them JV? Every sport has a JV. So we came the term JV. There's no championships for JVs. There's no,
Like there's not in most sports,
So
yeah.
what we do to let our JV kids, or what you kids not meeting the time standard, and some teams got so big you can only enter for districts for an event. So we created a second district meet, but we called it the JV meet, so everybody will have another swim.
Okay. Because you've got, I believe, in the next couple of days, you've got the JV developmental meet, however we want to
Yes.
go, on a Friday, and then the other one, the varsity one, is on a Saturday, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And
that-
and it's been offered to everybody that's in the district. If your team is so big, but you're having to leave some home, bring them to the JV meet so they'll get an additional swim.
Okay. And this meet will be at the Pete Regas Center?
The
is that
Pete
right?
Regas, yeah.
Okay, which is kind of home base for all swimming in Lubbock. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it's maybe the only one, only facility. Take me through how we were joking about it beforehand, but you're like, the golf coaches in that there's not just some place to practice all the time that's handy. So you kind of got to make do and use Texas Tech. I think you use South Plains, use the Aquatic Center. I mean, kind of take me through that dynamic of finding places for your kids to practice so they can get better.
And you're right, because when we did when I sat down with Max, and first question is before the interview started, where are we swimming? And he and Keith Bryan had done great research, and they looked at the indoor pools at one time when the Y was shutting down, they took over the Kmart building, the one on
Right.
University in 66. There was an idea that they were going to build a pool within that Kmart center. And they looked at, bringing in us and Friendship, but I guess it didn't work out for whatever reasons were, and that Kmart that Y doesn't have an indoor pool. And so then he looked at another facility here, and then Tech offered. And so Mr. Bryant and Mr. Catwinkle then settled that we would work out at Tech. Okay. And so Tech's been phenomenal. And, it's a pool that's for students and for faculty, but they're giving us, lane space, equipment area, dressing facilities. They have been phenomenal with us. And they're giving us a very decent time in the morning to work out. And their people that are coming to Tech to swim their lap swimming have been phenomenal and, sharing the pool with us. So we can't ask for a better situation out at Tech. We're lacking a couple things. Tech, is a rec pool. The starting blocks used to be there because I remember they were there. And
Just 5 or 6 years ago. Right, yeah.
And so that's been removed. So it's a great facility. I'm just going to say it's been great there. It's been great there, and they've been great with us.
Take me through you mentioned the diving component, because I want to talk more swimming with you in a second, how many different events and all those things. But take me through the diving component real quick, because how many do you have actually doing that? And is it like what we're used to seeing with a lot? I mean, because some of this stuff is pretty elaborate.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it stresses me out. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm telling you, Penny DePalmazio in Lubbock was the head diving coach.
Okay.
And, she's phenomenal. Dive coach, Texas high school diving coaches, national coach. Anyway, Penny started the dive club at night. And anybody from little dudes to big dudes could, pay your fee and you could come learn to dive. And so we never had diving.
I like that. Little dudes and big dudes, yeah.
And we don't
big
have...
Big dude here, not diving, just
And I'm telling you, Aquatic Center used to have diving boards because we took our faculty picture there when I was on staff. So the boards are gone. They have an outdoor board at the pool, but... One of our swimmers, Sydney Blaylock, and she said, Coach, I tumble. I really want to do diving. And I said, Sydney, that's great, but I don't coach it. And so Sydney said, I'm going to join Dive Club. And she, joined. And Sydney was phenomenal, did tremendous for us, brought us in points, because, diving adds into your team total. Sydney Doe do districts, made it to regionals, and was 4th or 5th in the region, top 3 go on to state. And then while she was doing diving, I don't know how the other 2 male divers found out about diving through Sydney and decided to approach me, stop by my class, and he was a pole vaulter. A pole vaulter. And Luke came up and he said, I'm interested in diving. And I gave him the same spiel. Well,
yeah, I'm not sure.
That's
I
great.
can't help you. Yeah.
I can't help you. But I said, you'll have to go to Lubbock Dive Club, and, and they, and he talked to Coach D, and then they had another guy was there, Mr. Pearsall, and he joined them and dove in the spring with them. And then when this fall started, Luke stopped by, and he said, I'm going to keep diving. And he brought a friend with him, and JD, and he said, we're both going to learn to, we're going to do diving. I said, that's great, boys. But you still, got to go to Dive Club at night. And they only offer it 3 times a week. And so those 2 boys then also got involved or got connected to the Midland Diving Facility. And that place is rocking awesome.
Okay.
It's an Olympic thing. It's platform diving. The boys say it's got a hot tub. They're great. Anyway, but they go there for lessons. They've been there for lessons, but they stay with Lubbock Dive Club. And then the story gets even longer, so people don't go to sleep. Their diving coach for LISD left and moved to Chicago and left at the end of the semester. And nobody's running Dive Club. And so the question is, what do we do now? Because there's no Dive Club, there's no way to coach the boys. And the diving board at Tech is underneath the stands, and the water's a little chilly being outdoors. So the boys suggested wetsuits. I said, well, that's great, but still, there's no diving board. And we lucked out. This is another thing. In the December, Tech shuts down. We go to South Plains College to swim. And I remember walking and go, well, there's diving boards at South Plains College. Why didn't I remember this? And so through talking to their aquatics director and Mr. Bright and Mr. Catwinkle, they arranged it for us to go out there 3 nights a week and work diving.
Okay.
And we had an awesome lady, Desiree Cajada. She is our substitute lady, who also has a gymnastics background, and Mr. Landon Mr. Winton allowed her, so it was great with him. After hours, they drive out to South Plains and out there. So
That's, yeah.
we're always looking for a place to
A
dive.
lot of moving parts.
There you
A lot
go.
of moving parts. How many? Okay, so in your meets, how many different events are there?
24 events. Well, 12 and
'Cause
12.
you're talking medleys. We're talking
Yeah,
relays. We're
you got
talking
3 relays
individual.
and then the individual events. You'll have a 100 or what you call the 100 yards in each event, like fly, back, breast, and free. You'll have a sprint event like the 50. You'll have what they call mid distance, a 200 and a 500, and then the 3 relays.
Okay. And co-ed relays? Do
No.
we mix? No, don't do that.
They wish, but no.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, no, I got you. What's the hardest event? I know you probably all love all your children or events equally, if that makes sense. but
Well,
what's-
the hardest
what's the most
fun event,
grueling?
because some put on fun relays, was a T-shirt event. But the hardest event they don't like is, I would say either the 200 IM, because that's a 50 of every stroke.
So you're up and down and back in each.
Yeah,
each-
and you do,
each-
yeah, or you're doing the 100 fly. But I would say the 200 IM is one that.
Okay, it's the hardest, most
Yes.
grueling. Yeah, because
Yeah.
at the high school level, you don't have the 2,000 meter races
No,
like you see in the Olympics.
it's
and
and I always say high school is a sprint, and then you get to college swimming, the distances get longer. The hundreds develop into 200s per stroke. The 500 becomes the 1,000 or the mile, or the 800 swim where you've seen Janet Evans and so many swimming in the
Yeah.
Olympics. We don't do that. That's a college thing.
How do you teach the butterfly? I've always been fascinated by this because this is a very difficult stroke. Keep your feet together, and you're up and down. I mean, I don't Colton, my producer, better not show me, like that. But that's a hard. Is
And
that
it
that,
is
is
hard.
that not the hardest?
It's the
stroke?
hardest one. But you know what? If you can do that one, it makes you the strongest, and it helps you. It facilitates your strength in all the other sports.
Okay.
But you just start out elongated is kind of what we do, and it's kind of like if you can keep someone elongated, understand that all parts move together. You start gently, like we call it the piano drills. Put your hands in front and act like you're playing a piano. Learn to press down, and then, you've got flexibility in your shoulders. Don't breathe for a while because we'll put a snorkel on you and some fins, and then eventually those apparatuses come off, and then
Don't breathe.
yeah, don't
Act
breathe.
like you're playing a piano
Yeah.
in the water.
Underwater.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, I'm sinking to the bottom at this point. How do you determine who's, because this is all time, so you can't, there's really, it's like, it's easy for you, I guess, to kind of, hey, you're just better at this than this and all that, but kind of how do you kind of get kids better at certain strokes that they maybe struggle with a little bit?
And you're right on this one. We are the easiest because when you put together a relay, it's all by times.
Yeah, so
But
it's-
okay, so you're saying I need to develop my other strokes to.
Yeah.
We do all skills and drills. There's so many drills that that basically.
And I've been by your team at times in the weight room. You spend a lot of time in the weight room too, trying to get
We're
stronger.
trying to do that too, yes.
Yeah, take me. Is this new? Is this have you always been a weight room kind of team?
We tried the first couple years, but they're a little bit more disciplined now with Coach McBrayer there than
'Cause
me.
You have an assistant now.
Yes.
Coach McBrayer. Kind of take me through how he's helped you.
Well, in fact, I've known Bryant since a long time. Bryant was a swimmer for Lubbock ISD.
Okay.
And then Bryant went off to college, and then he did around with the SEALs, and then he came back, got his degree in geography, which is, people don't do that, but he's geography. was at Coronado, and then he came and coached a couple years with us, and then Bryant went off and did something with oil and gas or and then he contacted back at me and Melissa Winsler, who was his teacher at Coronado. And so I approached Max and Joe and said, hey, I've got a guy that would love to, we need an assistant. Because for these years I've been alone, and it's just been me. And so I kept
a lot
saying,
to manage,
That's a
lots
lot
of-
to
yeah,
manage.
yeah.
Me and the lifeguards. Good lifeguard staff. And so they agreed to it, but unfortunately, we didn't get Bryant at Lubbock-Cooper. He's over at, at DAEP.
Okay.
So I only can get Bryant twice a day.
Okay.
You know, and which is great. It's better than what I've had.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoons, he'll come over and do the weightlifting program.
Okay.
So he's learning.
Okay.
You know how to be an assistant coach full time. Oh, well, 0.5 time.
Yeah.
We'll get him full time. Next year when we get him at the school. But it's been a tremendous help
But
having.
you have some help.
Yes.
Yeah. Take us through real quick. Highlight some of your swimmers here that are about to swim in district and hopefully down the weeks further if they advance and all those kinds of things. Let's mention a few of
Well,
those.
fingers crossed. We're hoping the two divers.
Okay.
The two divers. Districts top 6 go.
Okay.
So right now through districts, everybody that's expected will go.
Okay.
The relays will all make it, all the girls and guys relays, all the individual swimmers, the ones we expect will make it. And you got to remember too, and this is the weirdest thing to say, is that we're the only team, and I'm sorry, all you other teams don't have this problem. We're the only team that has a 3-time state champion in your district, not in your playoffs rounds, in your district. So for us to get past Lubbock High, it takes a lot. Because Lubbock High will be a 4th repeater. They'll win 4 girls' championships in a row. Their boys have been top 5, but that's our district. And so we're competing with them, and we have high hopes that this district finish will be second behind Lubbock High. That's our goal.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's a goal. But the kids wise, the two divers will go ahead and they will do well in districts. There's only 5 divers, so come on. They're going to make it to the regionals.
Keeping it real right
Yes.
here, Coach Matticks. That's
And
right.
then it's the top 3 that move on. And right now, they are in a position to move on to the state championship.
Okay.
And that would be nice. We have another swimmer, these two, Kyler Bates and Addison Donay, they're individuals, and Landry Harmon are all set up to move on to regionals.
Okay.
It's just a matter what you do at the region. Our biggest person besides Lubbock is you got El Paso High coming in. And with swimming, everybody knows everybody's times. And
'Cause they're
so,
all, I'm sure.
yes.
Yeah, this is what this notebook
Oh,
right
we
here
do, yes. We
is
get them, we
full of.
post them. I have a thing that we scout it out, and we have everybody listed down. And we're so lucky, El Paso, and I don't know why they do this. They post their entries. So you already know, because once you're in with swimming, once you're entered in a event, you cannot change it all the way through state. So we know then who's swimming what, and should I swim this person in this one because you're going to be there, I won't make it past regionals to get to state, so he or she can move to this event, which I can be guaranteed to beat your guy, but he posted before district. I don't know why they do it. We're so happy for him. Keep going, El Paso High. And so we're going to, and so we get an idea. So we have Kyler and Addison and Landry that should make it to districts. It's a matter of what you do at districts, because all of us are, preparing for that moment.
Okay.
And then we have
That's what's tricky about y'all's sport. It's like you practice. There's all these meets. There's all the off season. There's all the stuff, and it just comes down to the one time, and you got to be at your best on that time.
On that day.
Hope I'm feeling okay. I'm not sore. I'm healthy, and
I'm telling you, when that regional meet's done, you start looking at everybody else's region, and you get the next 8 fastest time go. So you start counting them.
Yeah.
As soon as someone finishes those, if you have what we call bubble kids, waiting to see, are we going to get called up? Are we going to get called up? So
is your sport from a coaching standpoint? You are manager. You are a coordinator. You are motivator. You're all these things. Is there a lot of rah-rah there? I mean, are you trying? Is there a lot of psychology with
Yes.
because keeping kids confident?
Well, you should know that. Kids.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what.
You
Yeah.
got, it's just, I teach high school too. So 9th and 10th graders, they're full of drama.
And you're,
there's
I hear whispers that you're a stud social studies teacher.
well, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I hear that you're really good in that realm. So, but yeah, I mean, take me through when you're trying to build a kid up and trying to have them at their best for just this small sliver of time, and when you get to a regional or district or whatever, how do you build to that? I mean, how do you take me through that
And
mentally?
most of them, that's by what sorry, I'm stuttering here.
No.
Your competitive season is
Okay.
taking them to meets that are much more competitive,
'em.
that push them, and taking them to meets that you have a prelim one day and you have to to get into finals the next day.
So they have a quick turnaround.
They understand that, I've got to swim well in order to make it the next day. and doing and higher competitive. And Lubbock may trounce us, but that's okay. They're making us better. They have made us better, and we go for them. And we put that kids in the mindset as I say, well, she's faster than me. She's going to beat me. Yeah, but she's going to have to work at it now, or you're going to make her lap you 2 more times harder. And we get closer. And it's, convincing kids to be confident is every coach. There is not a set answer for that one, But seeing success in the workouts, seeing improvement, your times need to drop to show that you have achieved success.
Small victories.
Yeah. And that's what we do, the small steps, because it'll lead to us, down the road.
So there's no like rah-rah speech. It's just like small victories leading up to it. And
leading up to them.
Keeping your mindset right and all
and
that.
Kids with this, they are such a social group now. And they need their they need their buddies, they need their,
Speaking of social, you are on social media, on Instagram, okay, at LCP Swimming. You can search for Coach Matticks's program on Instagram at LCP Swimming, so you can search for them and kind of follow their journey there. And so you build up to district here, and then there's some regionals and all that. And then you kind of get into club season, as we talked about.
Don't forget state. We gotta get
state.
state.
No doubt, absolutely, yeah. In what'd you say, mid-February?
Yes.
That's when state.
And then after that, I have kids because club season has their big championships, and this is an Olympic year now, and so we've got kids talking about trying to make the qualifying times. And I've got a relay full of boys that one of my guys will go with Lubbock kids together to combine to go to what you call a region, a sectional, which is the fastest kids ever, and everybody's vying for times to see if they can make the qualifying times for, And that's a lot of talk right now.
Okay.
But like when we went to the meet in Mansfield, they got to see kids that this child will try to get a qualifying time. Lubbock has 2 kids right there that are trying to get qualifying times for the Olympics. Okay. And so and for them that's you set your goals and your standards there.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I don't want to keep you. I know you were busy. We tried to get you back in the fall, but you guys are just all running crazy all the time. You just got a lot going on with social studies and swimming and driving all over the West Texas trying to get your kids a place to swim. But we appreciate the time. Good luck in district.
I appreciate that.
And good luck in regionals and state. I didn't forget that time.
And remember, if there's anybody out there whose children want to swim, you better come find me.
There you go. Yeah, reach out on Instagram or contact Coach Matt. Because at some point, I want to get into your just elaborate background with you too. You've had like working for Coach Pardee and Yeoman and all that. You've been at Texas Tech before, and you mentioned Phi Slamma Jamma. That taps into some great memories for me watching sports as a kid. But we'll do that maybe on the next one. But after your season, we'll recap it. We'll recap all the state championships you won. Yeah, right. That's right. All right. Well, appreciate everybody watching this one. This has been another edition of Pirate Talk for Chris Lovell, for producer Colton Coons, and for swimming and diving coach Michele Matticks. This has been Pirate Talk.